A series of text messages uncovered by the Herald Tribune appear to show school board member Eric Robinson and Sarasota County Sheriff Tom Knight working together to undermine Superintendent Todd Bowden over school security plans. SNN Samantha Sonner talked with Herald Tribune education reporter Elizabeth DeGinnis about the ongoing controversy.
Thanks. Elizabeth has been covering the ongoing controversy at the Sarasota County School Board. So just kind of summarize what happened here in this last week.
Yeah, so I think we saw an interesting kind of development in the last few weeks. In the past, the Sheriff Tom Knight, and the school district have shared the costs of the school resource officers, law enforcement that are currently in middle and high schools. And he announced, I want to say about 2 weeks ago, that he was no longer going to split the cost with the school district. So as that was progressing, last week we made a public records request, and we were able to get these text messages that showed that it appeared that there was some sort of conversation between school board member Eric Robinson and the sheriff that kind of led this on. So it's hard to say where the idea first came from, but some of the messages that were exchanged during a workshop, a school board workshop, included make us pay 100%, and let me know if I have to call county commissioners to make sure that we have to pay 100%.
So this is something where there was a little bit of scandalous text messages here too, where people were being called names.
Well, certainly, like you said, there were a few messages exchanged about school board member Shirley Brown. I think one of them was from the sheriff calling her dumb, and then later on, Eric Robinson does the same thing. She was obviously upset. No one likes to see their name being, implicated like that. I think probably school board members, there's already been some trust issues on the board in the past, really probably past year. And we're seeing this, I think, escalated. I think for some of the board members, they feel like it's hard to work with people who maybe are privately saying things about them that they wouldn't say publicly.
And this could wind up costing the school district a couple $1 million too now, right?
Yeah, so they're looking at a $3.1 million deficit for next year's budget if this continues as it's going. So part of that comes from the cost of having new resource officers in elementary schools. So that's an additional cost they have to foot as well.
Right, so at the core of this, it is about protecting the community's children, and this is something that's now being politicized. What's the reaction of that like in the community, from parents who are really worried about their kids being protected?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are upset. I think the Sarasota County Democratic Party released a statement this weekend kind of saying something similar. And I think that, Sheriff Knight actually defended the text messages by saying that he got over emotional because it was about kids. So everyone says it's about the kids. It's kind of hard to see. Everyone has their own reasoning for why that is. But
and what do you think the implications of this are going forward now with the dynamic at the school board?
I think it'll be interesting to see if any of the school board members push to have us, instead of doing the school resource officers through the sheriff's office, if they try to do their own school security, which is an option. They could have like a school security fleet that would be separate, or if they it's kind of prolonged trust issues between Eric Robinson and the other members.
Well, thank you for joining us, Elizabeth. I know this is something you'll be following, and as well. Back to you.
Thanks, Samantha and Elizabeth. And Sarasota County Sheriff Knight sent a written statement to SNN today offering no regrets for the comments he made in the text messages, saying, quote, "When I began this dialogue several weeks ago with the superintendent and school board about the ramifications of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Act, my concern was for the safety and security of children in Sarasota County. I regret that the story has become more about my text messages and has taken the focus off our need to work together to implement a program that will protect our kids. While I am frustrated with the lack of urgency on the part of the superintendent and school board, I remain optimistic that by moving forward, we can get this program implemented, comply with the act, and put the focus back on school safety."